Every once in a while, I will tease a video and then forget for a very long time before I come back and do it. And when I say every once in a while, I mean a lot. And one of these battles includes one I have talked to myself about for a very long time now. I had initially expressed interest in doing this battle. It got lost in the mix as I was doing other projects, and then a member just joined the membership community. By the way, if you want to join that, links in the description. I also recommend going the Cash App method instead of through YouTube because it's a lot cheaper with Cash App. And comment down below if you have any questions on that. But anyways, the new guy joined and brought up this battle and asked who I thought would win, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and make a video on it. So with that being said, today's matchup is a Star Wars matchup pitting Mace Windu, the renowned and notorious Clone Wars Jedi Master, versus Katarn from the new Jedi Order era. Who would win? You guys want to know. I'm going to try to help you guys find out an answer. And with that being said, let's go over Mace first, and then Kyle, and we will determine a winner. So, even before he reached his prime, Mace Windu was so fast that he was essentially unfollowable to the perception of beings that were actually able to track Jedi. This occurred in the Shatterpoint novel, and like I said, this is before Mace even hit his prime. Pre-prime Mace was significantly faster than a character who pretty casually scales in terms of speed to Jedi Knights and Masters of that level. This further solidifies that Mace is truly one of the fastest combatants of his era. Now, this also narratively makes sense when we see this demonstrated in the Shatterpoint novel, because Mace Windu is a character whose fighting style depends upon his rapid, vicious movements, so he has to inherently be quick. Pre-prime Mace was so powerful in the Force that with just a press of an effort on his hand, it could allow him to momentarily freeze the scene in front of him perception-wise. So he's so acute in battle and with his Force perception, even when he had little training, that he can slow down the scene and make a play. Now, pre-prime Mace showed a propensity for KOing foes with powerful telekinetic pushes early on as well. He would use telekinetic pushes in brawls and use the impact to knock out opponents. Mace, in the Clone Wars era, showed he could force push wave hundreds of droids at the same time with no sign of strain. Obviously, guys, at this point, if you didn't realize, I'm going by Legends, not just canon, because Katarn's a Legends character, just in case you didn't obviously recognize it. He managed at one point to catch and thrash General Grievous with a Force Crush. This is impressive given that few Force users could tag Grievous with the Force in his day. So, not only was he able to tag Grievous, he actually caused serious harm. Mace was noted as being a user of the power known as Shatterpoint. Shatterpoint allows one to see the weakness in a foe's style or anything in a foe. It's kind of like seeing the world as a crystal and the fine edges are weak points. That's Shatterpoint. So you can see weak points and act upon them. In the novel Shatterpoint, Mace shows that his proficiency in Shatterpoint is to the point that he essentially passively can receive and perceive Shatterpoints in large-scale events like the Clone Wars. Pre-prime Mace Windu was so fast that he was able to casually evade a storm of blaster fire unscathed. He is considered to be a torpedo on the battlefield in speed as compared to his peers. Mace was able to combat Darth Sidious and even bested him in a lightsaber duel. Sidious was at least a top 3 lightsaber combatant of his time. The novel depiction confirms that this was a legitimate fight, by the way. A lot of people try to contest the fight, but it was legit. People like to downplay and say Sidious was toying with Mace, but once they engaged in the duel, Mace did win. Windu was capable hairball, was capable of reacting to and deflecting a point-blank lightning blast from Sidious. What made this impressive was that Windu was exhausted at this point, but despite the exhaustion, could react and block. Finally, Mace proved he was one of the toughest combatants of his era as he tanked a lightsaber through his guts in the Shatterpoint novel, page 304, I think. And he actually kept going. This didn't even stop him. Yeah, he's one of the toughest around in the verse. One of the strongest masters of his era, and a very worthy opponent to this next Jedi, Katarn. Now, Katarn might need a little bit more of an introduction for casual Star Wars fans. Katarn was essentially in Legends, which is non-canon. After Return of the Jedi era, Katarn was like the right-hand man to Luke Skywalker when the New Jedi Order came about, and was even the battle master of the New Jedi Order. Even in Fate of the Jedi Backlash, it was stated that Kyle was so talented as a duelist that you could consider him to be a rival to like a very low-end exhausted Luke. Initially that might sound weak, but Luke in Legends is absolutely broken. So even scaling to any version of Luke at this point is crazy. He's a battle master of the New Jedi Order. Battle masters are teachers of all the lightsaber forms. So inherently, you have to be a master of all the forms. This doesn't mean you're the best at every form. It just means you have to have extreme proficiency in every form. Katarn not only had efficiency in every form, he helped invent the new style, which was the three-ringed method. Without essentially any training early on in his story, Katarn boloed 7 Dark Jedi. This occurs in the game. One of the best Star Wars games ever, by the way. I encourage you to go play it. But yeah, he had one of the most impressive runs of a practically untrained Force user. One of the characters he defeated in this run included a Dark Jedi that actually scared a Jedi Master at one point. Despite no real training at this point, Kyle was practically a blur in lightsaber combat, and as he struck, he was very difficult for the Dark Jedi to handle. Later in his life, Kyle Katarn was able to brawl and unarmed with a Yuuzhan Vong warrior. This is impressive because most Jedi can't even handle a Yuuzhan Vong when they have a lightsaber, and Kyle was scrapping without anything. Kyle Katarn, before real training, was able to take a Jarek attack, and Jarek at this point in Legends is supposed to somewhat scale to Darth Vader. He also, while untrained, was able to repel a dark mental attack, and he seems to adapt without training to Force abilities in the game and in the novel Dark Forces. When he's fighting these Dark Jedi, it's almost as if every time they hit him with something new, Kyle gets hit with it and kind of adapts and evolves. He then also, later on in his life as a master during the Vong era, bodied a Vong with a Force push. A Force attack by Jason Solo, who was one of the strongest Jedi ever, for reference, did nothing to the Vong initially. Yet Kyle was able to body one with the first Force push. The reason they're a problem, by the way, with the Force is they're actually naturally resistant to the Force. His clone, Runner, I believe was his name, was a telekinetic monster. So you should be able to directly scale that to Kyle. He was able to, without training, Force sever Jarek. Again, this is important because, like I said, he should scale to Vader. We saw, without training, Kyle Katarn was able to beat a character with Maul level durability. That is a character who could tank being cut in half. He had manipulative instincts early on via the Force, kind of like Kenobi, that made Kyle very dangerous in combat. And like I said, he beat somebody who scared a Jedi Master even when he didn't have training. He beat Jarek, who should scale to Vader even when he didn't have training. And at this point, the raw skill and power, being able to even scale to Vader, is even more impressive than limited training Luke, at least in my opinion. And then, just to kind of seal that scaling, Jarek in the Dark Forces saga was stated to potentially be a threat to Darth Sidious himself with his power. So, with that being said, when you compare both characters, one an absolute prodigy who became a renowned Jedi in the later New Jedi Order, versus one of the most famous Jedi Masters and battle generals of the Clone Wars era, Mace Windu. Physically, I think Mace might have a slight edge. I think he's a little faster. Especially as a speed-based duelist, I do think he is slightly quicker than Kyle. But I think Kyle's fast enough to definitely maintain in combat. Other physical stats, roughly the same. They're around the same age when they're both in their primes. What this ultimately comes down to for me is I have more faith. I do think Mace Windu is a better duelist than Kyle. I think he's just a little better. But I have more faith that Kyle has more in the bag as an overall combatant than I do in just the dueling. Kyle is more refined with his force techniques, mental attacks, force pushes, force pulls, force severs, all this stuff. He's familiar with that, and he's insanely strong, even as strong as legitimate bloodline Skywalkers in some scenarios. And with this, he's skilled enough to hold off Windu, and I believe he has enough in the bag as a Force user as well to eventually get the better of Mace Windu. The way I can see characters beating Katarn is through tactics and trick, like deceit, which Kaitis did against Katarn, but Windu isn't like that. He's a straight up brawler, and he's gangster with it, and I think that's actually going to cost him here. And I think because of his versatility and power in the Force, I believe Kyle Katarn would win. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know who you think would win. It's been your boy, your favorite villain, and I will see y'all later. Peace.